Good morning. This time from a different country and with a different travel companion. Sam and I have spent one day in Bristol and now we're on our way to the Cotswolds. The Cotswolds is a range of hills that are located in central and west England and are designated as an area of outstanding natural beauty. It's quite a rural landscape with many stone-built villages and towns. So yeah, it's supposed to be very cozy and very pretty, so we are looking forward to exploring it. From Bristol, it was a 30-minute drive to get to our first stop, Combe. This village immediately stole our hearts. It's a very charming place where you can see all the stone-built houses, and it's often called the prettiest village in England. Since we were a bit hungry, we first had to stop for lunch at Watworth's restaurant. They had sandwiches but also many daily specials, which looked amazing, so we went for the pulled pork and the mince pie, which honestly were delicious. Once we had something to eat, we continued exploring the village a bit longer before we took the car to our next stop. Our second stop of the day is Malmesbury. We decided to park the car next to the church and explore a bit. And the church, as you can see, it's massive, and inside we ran into a local who explained us a bit about the history of the church, which was quite nice. And then we strolled briefly around the streets, and now we are back in the car to continue our trip to our next stop. After our stop in Malmesbury, our next destination is Cirencester. Both Malmesbury and Cirencester were cities compared to Combe, which had more of a village vibe. Still, it was very nice to walk through the streets and see the churches of these cities, as most of them date back to the 13th century. We also stopped at Linwood & Co, where you can enjoy your coffee with views to the church. Afterwards, we drove to our hotel to check in, and then we drove to Cheltenham and had some nice dinner. Good morning and welcome to day 2 of our trip through the Cotswolds. So yesterday we traveled from Bristol all the way up north to Cheltenham and had dinner there. And today we're going to explore the area around Broadway. So our first stop was the Castle of Burley. But yeah, it was very expensive. It was like £20 per person. So we just decided to stop in Winchcombe and just explore it and continue on our way. We are back in the car after visiting Winchcombe, and we have to say that it was honestly a nice surprise. We were not expecting much as we initially were coming here to visit the castle, but I would really recommend it. There were not so many tourists, so I guess it's not so popular for tourists here. Also, again, in this church there was a local that explained us the history of the church and the role the church played in the war, and so it was quite nice and it feels quite welcoming with all these locals trying to explain the history of their town. So now on to our next stop. We are now in Stanton, and I think I have now my favorite town in the Cotswolds by far. It also has more of a village vibe like Combe, but yeah, it's super empty, not so touristy. We came here because of a recommendation from a friend of Samu that also recommended this inn in the top of the hill, the Mountain Inn, and I just have no words. Look at these views, they're just amazing. We've already been here for 1 hour just drinking something and chilling here because honestly the whole point of coming to the Cotswolds is to actually see these views. So if you're thinking of coming to the Cotswolds, I really wouldn't miss this spot. We are now in Guiting, also a recommendation from Samu's friend. And something that strikes us a lot is that every town, no matter how small the town is, has quite a big church. And another thing that we notice inside the churches is these little cushions with like different patterns, and I guess it's for people to pray, but it's something that we see here throughout every church. We just arrived in Broadway, and the first thing we had to do was stop for lunch as we are getting quite hungry. We stopped here in number 32, and as you can see, we just got our burgers and they look amazing. So we will eat them now, and afterwards stroll a bit through the streets and check out the shops, and then head to the last town for today. In the end, has been quite a busy day, so the last town we have on our list is Stow-on-the-Wold, and then afterwards just head back to the hotel to chill a bit. Hello there. As you can see, we're back in the hotel. In the end, today has been quite an intense day. We left at 11 in the morning and just come back now at 8 in the afternoon. And yet now someone's taking a shower and I'm just here chilling. It's just been such an intense day. We've seen, I think, around 5 or 6 towns. And our favorite one was, I think, by far Stanton, which was completely unexpected and very empty. There were not so many people there. And we also had a very long break in the inn on the top of the hill. It was amazing. We were just in love with the views. So for the rest of the afternoon, we're just gonna be chilling here and just chatting with each other, and we will catch up with you tomorrow. Good morning and welcome to day 3 of our trip through the Cotswolds. Today it's a bit rainy, even though it's already 3rd of July, and as Samu said, it seems that they haven't invented summer here yet, because it's quite cold and it looks like we are in full spring or early winter. But oh well, today's our last day, so we have checked out from the hotel and we're gonna explore a few more villages. And yeah, so let's make the most out of our last day. We are now in Upper Slaughter and we are gonna be visiting a few more towns today, like Lower Slaughter and also Bourton-on-the-Water. And if you're wondering where the word slaughter comes from, it has nothing to do with killing animals or killing people, but it comes from an Old English word which means muddy place. So I guess in the past these towns were quite muddy, and nowadays definitely are worth checking out. So we are slowly walking back to the car and leaving the slaughters, and now we're gonna head back to Bourton-on-the-Water. I think it's supposed to be quite touristy, but I guess as we are a bit hungry and we have to head back to Bristol to return the car, we may stop there for a snack before we start driving. So after visiting Bourton-on-the-Water, that indeed was a bit touristy, but actually it was nice because it was different to the other towns in the sense that this one had the river with the cute little bridges, so definitely worth visiting. And now we just arrived in Bibury, and as you can see here, it has a super pretty church with a lot of rose trees and all different colors. So yeah, quite nice to just walk around and to be this our last stop before we head back to Bristol, so we have to drop off the car and then take the train to London. But yes, I think overall it has been quite an intense trip. We visited more than, I think, 15 towns. I think we can say that we were quite successful with our trip.